In my actual physical classes, I have noticed some people having a particular problem with the centers. And so I thought I would go back over the center on this uh, first, just because there's a principle involved that I think is helpful, and it's apparently a little bit hard to grasp. So you will see that we have a center shape here, just that egg yolk thing. And I want to put some little fluffy things around it. But I want the little fluffy things to be light colored, not dark. Here you can see there's a little fluffy things, and they are lighter colored than the background. So that means negative painting around them. And I've had a number of people in my actual physical classes that have kept lining this egg yolk with dark. It just seems to be a thing that the left brain is wanting to do. So I thought I would paint one of them again, just to give everybody a chance to see what I'm seeing. It doesn't mean that your flower has to look like my flower. It's just that this is a concept that I think is useful a lot of the time. I thought I turned my phone off. Well, I can't find it. Okay, so let's take our red and I guess I need some darker red, so I'm using my rose and some nickel azo. Where is that phone? Okay, the phone is gone now. So I'm taking my rose and my nickel azo. I just want to get some pretty dark paint here. I could have used the Quinn Gold. In fact, I'm going to use the Quinn Gold in a minute, so I better get it wet. You'll see in a minute what's going on. So, okay, so I'm going to paint around the egg yolk, and you'll notice that what I did here was I just gave it a little black line. That may be the only thing that defines that curved edge there. Because that's just the way that I developed this piece of art that suits me. It doesn't mean that you have to do yours this way. But I want to get the idea of the negative painting here. That we are making this light-colored little fluffy stuff. By painting negatively. You'll notice I'm putting this on very wet so that I can have time to soften the edge. You see how it jumped out there? There it is. Okay. Okay, now it's got that nice little area there. Now the thing is that on this side, the fluffy stuff is going to overlap the egg yolk. Here it's behind the egg yolk. On this side, it's going to overlap it. So let's take some quinacridone gold. Just a little bit. It's kind of creamy there. And let's do the same thing here. And we'll soften this edge. I'm using the round brush for this, so I want to keep it tiny here. Oh, look what is appearing before our eyes. It's more of that fluffy stuff. So I'm fading it out there. See that? Now I've got to do something with this. I could have the petal overlap that area. That's probably what it does. I could have it be fluffy out this way if I wanted to. I could go either way. I think I'm going to go for fluffy this time. So I'm going to let the fluffy stuff, this flower has fluffy stuff in egg yolks. I know, it's ridiculous. But I'm going to have it lap over in front of the petal this way. I don't know if I like that. Well, we'll do it that way anyhow. Okay, see, now we've got a center and we've got all that activity going on in there that's kind of fun. And I've got a couple of places that I'm going to lift. Okay, so I've just got a couple of places here that I masked off that I want to lighten just ever so slightly. You know, sometimes just a little bit goes a long ways. So let's just make this edge here a little bit lighter. That's enough right there. See, that's just a tiny bit. That's enough. Right there's enough. So now I'm going to pull the tape up, and I'm just going to mention something. The tape should come up pretty easily, but I always pull it up very slowly. If you ever have tape that's being resistant and you think that it might just tear your paper, heat it up just a little bit with a hair dryer. It'll just totally turn loose. That's all it takes. It's just warming it up just a little bit. But I always pull it up real slowly and gently. This is sort of not wanting to come up. I should probably heat it up with the hairdryer, but I think it'll be fine. But I had someone that actually tore something they were working on. It wasn't one of these flowers, but that got a tear from working with tape. Okay, there. So that's a little bit lighter, and I'm going to deepen this area here and here just a little bit so that these stand out just a little bit more. I think I'll darken a spot here too. So let's just do that. Okay. Start down here. It would be best if I took that to the hair dryer. I'm being lazy. So when you do this, dry it. Be smarter than me. I could probably get away with it, but it's not the best thing. So I just want to darken that little area right there. See, so that this stands out in front of that. I could actually make this petal curve. You know, it curves this way and then curve down and back out this way. Sophie heard someone come in the door. She's just learning to bark at strangers, or family, actually. So maybe I'll just make a little area there that's just a little bit darker. Sophie, please don't do that now. There. Okay, like there. And I could make this bottom edge get a little bit darker right here. So, I think I want to darken this. In fact, I could make this edge actually come out on top of that. Just get that whole edge a little darker than what's behind it. Usually I darken the one that's behind or underneath, but you don't have to always do that. No, Sophie. There. See, I think that's about done. That's pretty cool, huh? So I love those little bits of negative painting. I think that they just can do smashing things. I think this one up here is a little too much paler than these. It's just not, it's supposed to be a minor player. It's going off the page, but I think it's a little, it just looks a little too weak. So I'm going to deepen it just a little bit. I usually use a bigger brush. This is just what I've already got wet. And maybe I'll fade it going that way. I would like to know what y'all prefer. Do you prefer working with something that's pretty much defined, like a drawing like this? Or do you like something like the sunflower where you really take chances? Okay, that's, I think, enough better. It's not dry, so we'll see. But I'm happy with that part. Okay, time for a pause. Well, I cheated on you just a little bit here because I tweaked as I was warming up to start the video. I kind of retouched these areas and lifted just a little bit. I decided that was a little too dull. I had looked at this one because I have multiples because I've been doing them in classes. This is, I don't know which class this is from, but you can see the centers are a little bit lighter. In fact, they're just a little bit lighter overall. I don't know how that'll translate in the finished piece. I may have to go darker, but when I get a background in. But I really like the color here, which has got a little bit more new gamboge and Quin Coral and less bits of the quinacridone rose. So, just to show you that you might, if you haven't already done that, you might want a little more yellow. I think I actually lifted an area or two in here. You can see the yellow in there a little bit better. Okay. So, where we are now is that we have this original piece, which now the flowers in it are just don't even begin to compare with these. These are so much better. And I really recommend doing something more than once, but particularly when you're developing something and maybe you don't have a certain way of going at it, you know, you're still finding your way. You might want to do more than one. I am liking these little twinkles of white that are closer to the center here. And I'm thinking about, I don't know, I lightened that enough. Maybe I won't. I was thinking about dropping in some little bits of white here. I think I'll wait. Because once I put white on there, it turns, you know, if you try to wash it out, you just get this milky mush and it's not good. So I'll put the lid back on my white and wait on that. Now you can see that next we're going to the vase and the shadow underneath. And when you look at the shadow, you will see there's quite a bit of dry brush and there's multiple colors mixed together there. And some of this is actually gray from the gray pencil. So I think that's what I'll do first, is start to develop a little bit of shadow on the vase. Okay, I'm setting this up here because I can't keep it in your visual field anyway. Okay, so, all right, I've got a pencil here. Maybe I will let's just do this so y'all can see. I'm making a little bit of gray here. And yeah, I could have used some other paint, but this is, whoo, there's quite a lot there. This is just handy, and you know, I'm attached to these pencils, so. But you could mix a gray, or you could use neutral tint. Although, you know, neutral tint has got lamp black in it, and I'm not so crazy about working with that unless I'm sure that what I put down I want to be there forever and ever. Let's pull in a little bit of shadow, and you know, I might need a little across the bottom here. Yeah, some fast moves like that. So we're developing a little bit of, it'd be nice to keep that light, but that just has to be in shadow. I don't totally worry about stuff making sense, but that would just be too much. So, and then I'll leave some white down here. So maybe this, let's break up an edge or two there. Okay. Do we want to maybe add a little, whoa, look at, see, I pre-wet these colors. So I got a whole lot of Prussian blue. See the way that floats around in there, makes all those swirls? That's the inky colors that tend to do that. I just thought I would go ahead and get a little bit more blue into this. Whoa. Again, I want, okay. And this area right here should have a little more shadow. I guess I've got a little bit of the gray into the Prussian blue, which seems to be about right. Now, as I'm looking at this too, I'm seeing that on this piece, I've got more nice black lines. See, look at that, and you can see some bits of, I guess I could turn it this way. That's a smart thing, isn't it? I could remember to do it. I've got some bits of a darker blue, which was the Prussian blue, on dry paper. on top of my underneath there. And there's probably a few other places where I have some things like that. So I think we need to do that. Of course, I've got this all wet, but I'll play with the ones that I have here. Okay, you know, I think I've got my pencil wet. I think I'm going to deepen this. I think this looks better. It just needs a little more something. Yeah. Yeah, maybe a little more definition over here. Don't want to outline everything, but I want this to kind of dance around. This is damp paper, but I also have a damp pencil. Oh, that's doing nicely. Because normally if you just work on damp paper, it's not always so successful. But the pencil's damp too. It's kind of doing a nice thing. Okay, that's better. See, over here it's not wet enough. I could do a smudge or two. Oops, that's too strong. Okay, just, I'm starting to mumble because I'm not thinking of you, I'm thinking of what I'm doing. So I have to be careful about that, don't I? So see, that makes a subtle texture because I've got the blue underneath and then I add a little, you know, a fairly light blue wash on top. So you can see the difference between one color and the other, but it doesn't stand out too much. If it stands out a lot, it won't work. It will make the leaf seem fragmented. And we need these patterns to hold together because they're already kind of broken up. Try to leave my little twinkles in there. See, that's better. It's richer. Yeah. Look at that. Some of this has got to get dry again. Okay, that's a nice start on that. Now, I need to dry it. Oh, you notice there's no bottom on the vase yet, but we'll get one, or a little bit of one. You don't want to overdo it either. It's kind of nice to have it, part of it just melt into the shadow. So, where do we go next here? You know, I think I've got some red in here, and then I have got some of this same background green. And both of those play into the vase just a little bit too. So maybe it's time to mix the green. Yeah, let's do that. Before we do, maybe a little bit of red into the vase. And by red, I mean a nice orangey red here. Let's see, I've got, I don't know what that is. It doesn't really matter. It looks like it's rose. Let's put a little New Gamboge in it. Oh, well, that's 2. That looks kind of milky. That almost looks like it's not transparent. I'll just take that out and start over. I don't know what was in there. Okay, there's the coral. Here's the New Gamboge. There. Okay, so let's just I think that's a little too much red there. I just wanted a hint. If that's enough of that, let's put a little bit more. I'm warming up my pencil here. That is, I'm wetting down my pencil here. I don't want to go all the way across there. I want to let some of that just kind of melt together. Maybe that part right there. Oh yeah, see, and then I've got this kind of lost edge right through here. This little pathway through there. That's kind of nice. So let's work on the background now. And hold on. Okay, here we are. So I double checked to make sure I was going to tell you the same mixture that was on the list. So I remember. A lot of things would do. Okay, so here's where I like to have the cad yellow light. And if you're new to my classes, I probably haven't told you to buy it. But I'll have some in class. I've got 2 new people. So let's take a little cerulean too. Yeah, that looks pretty much like it. Maybe just a little more yellow and some more water. There we go. Okay, let's see how this looks. Now the smart thing, of course, is to test it out on something else. But so I'm working really wet, and you can see where I've got my where I have my little, oh dear. Okay, try again. I still have young people in my house. So this is a real pale wash, and it's going on very, very juicy so that I really don't disturb the little splatters I've got on here. And I'm not getting perfect coverage here on purpose. So I like that color. You know, it's just a little bit quieter than this. I guess that's just because it's dry. Again, if you're working really wet and you're just letting that paint and water just trail off your brush, you're not really going to disturb much of anything. Like I said, there's a lot of little twinkles left in here, although they don't stand out much because the wash is so pale. You can see from here that there are 2 levels of this. Then there's a slightly darker one on top. So I need it down in this area too, but I'm going to have to get that dry first. So I'm headed for the hair dryer. Okay, that's the bottom here is dry, so we can add a little color in down here. This vase has got a little more pink in it than the other one had because I had that place that I scrubbed out. Okay, see that little bit of green down here? What that did for the whole thing, it got richer. A little more over here. although it's not like that in my original. And the other thing is, when you try to paint exactly like what I painted, or when I try to paint exactly what I painted previously, it's very hard to do, and it can be stifling sometimes. So you have to let go a little bit. That's a little too much there. So you see now this is a lot richer, and it's not carefully crafted at all, but it's working there. So, and I like the way these colors, see, these were dry, and I overlapped the green over the pinks and the blue grays. That's working really well for me. So I want to put, oh, one of the things I noticed was in this original, that area right there is a little lighter than this area, and I really think that that was a good thing. Actually, it's got some other activity in there that I think is good. This is just a little bit too solid. So, you know, this sponge thing is so great. So far, I haven't made a habit of using it on faces, but I use it almost everywhere now. It's becoming a painting tool. I mean, I don't think of it as just correcting mistakes. I think of it as a painting tool. It gives me a little more ability to lift there and kind of change the painting up. So I don't think of it as, like I said, I don't think of it as a correction as much as just something else I can work with. It's like a different kind of brush. That's what it's like. Yeah. Now that's a little better. So I'm liking what this is doing. This is wet down here. Let's get a little, and I've dried up here. Let's make a little darker green here. So we're just going to concentrate our paint a little bit more. Maybe we'll put a little bit of the Prussian blue into it. I don't know. And then it's still going to require quite a lot of cad yellow. And this is real cad yellow. And so it has a lot of opacity that the cad yellow hues don't. Even the good, what I'd call the good ones, like Daniel Smith makes one. But it doesn't have as much opacity, and I really like the opacity that's in this. Okay, let's check this out now and see how this is going to look. You know, I've got a whole other... I need to put some more dark greens in here too, I think. That is from my leaves and stuff. I think that's not quite strong enough. A little more Prussian. Whoa. Now that's green. I don't want that. I want a lot of yellow green. Oops. Not making me quite happy. You know, just looking at that, I would swear that I've got little bits of red in it. I'm going to just take a little bit of this red. I'm going to have so much of this darn paint mixed up. Oh, good. I can use it for my classes. There. Okay, it needed that little edge of a tiny bit of red to it. You decide how dark you want this to be, but I would caution you against getting it too busy because it can detract from your flowers. You need just a little bit. And I brought this area right here down to my flower that sort of connected it to the top. Oh yes, and I can see splatters in here. Not very many. And that looks a little dark. But then all I gotta do is just gently touch it with a paper towel. I don't want to pull it all up, so there. Okay, now it's beginning to have that dancing feel that I like. That a little bit lighter. I left the back of that vase off of this one. Well, we'll have to fix that. See, here's the front edge of the top, but you can see down into it, and there should be a little bit of a back edge there. This definitely needs to be darker down here. Okay, that's getting there. You know, on this one, and this is one that I had scrubbed on because I did some correcting, but this vase has gotten a little too dull. You can see how this one has some good white left in it. I like that. So I didn't get as much white in this. In fact, I think I just took it out. And I probably can't retrieve it, but I could make a highlight on the vase. Whoops. I should use clean water. Nope, not going to work because I'm going to smear my pencil. So, forget that. That didn't help it at all. No can do. Now, I could paint some white in there. It just never satisfies me to do that. So, I think the major thing, okay, I've got to fix this spot, and I want to darken my greens. I want another bit of a leaf over here. So, I'm going to dry this again and come back for one more bit. Okay, right now you can see both of the original and the one I'm working on together. The original's on the left. Just study those and know you can come back to them. We're going to talk about it. Okay, even though I'm much more pleased with the flowers, when I look at the whole piece, there's still a lot missing here. I need a lot more darks down in here. I need to pop a few more darks actually in the flowers and the leaves. The leaves are really an important dark. I tried to keep kind of a pale suggestion here, but those darks were really important to the painting. So I'm going to have to do something more there. So right now, I think I'm going to see if I can deepen an area or two here. let's come down here. Let's get this a lot darker. So I'm going to have to pull in some more of something here. This isn't how I did it the last time. It needs this weight down here. That's pretty red. I also need some more splatters. And I have some significant splatters right there. And they just do something for it. My splatters up here are pretty weak. So I'm going to mix up some stronger paint here. So let's get the rose. Whoa, I have pre-wet that paint and I forgot that I'd pre-wet it that much. And Queen Gold would be good here. Okay, this is dry right here. Well, I want that brush just, I want the paint just almost falling off the brush. Okay, let's get a little more up here. Okay, that's better. I think I want a little bit right down here too. Okay. And that kind of makes better transitions between the flowers too. Okay, I think maybe that's enough. Well, now it's enough. So another problem I have is the top of this vase, because it's not just that, oh, the vase doesn't make sense. It's not about that. It's just that it's weak here in a place where it's stronger in the other painting, and it's working better in the other painting. So let's dampen this pencil again. And let's take a little bit of Prussian blue. See, I've got it right here. I don't know. That's better. Again, I can never get them just like the originals. Okay, so for a green, for a really dark green, I'm going to use the Prussian blue. Gosh, this water's getting dirty. I'm going to use the Prussian blue and the Quin Gold. See that? That makes a really deep green. I had liked having some of these lighter faded areas. I'll try to keep some areas lighter, but it needed the pop of that really strong dark. It's not that it's a green, it's that it's a dark. Wouldn't hurt to have just a touch of red into it. That should be glazed on, not put on then. Oops. I showed you something else what not to do, didn't I? Oh, this, I wanted to change that stem, and I forgot that I was going to change that stem. Oh, well, that's lovely now. Well, let's just mess it up a little bit. There. Oh no, something's just not suiting me. That's just got too much yellow in it. Here, I pulled in a bit of ultramarine to counter the yellows that I've got in there so that this will have a little more depth to it. There we go. I think I'm going to stop there. And here's the thing. They're never just the way I wanted them. I'll have one place that is better on one, because I do several of these with classes. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I decided I do want some whites in here. I lost too many twinkles. I'm just going to take the end of this brush. You know, stick would do. And the paint's relatively thick here. Well, it just does not look like a twinkle. There's just nothing can make up for the loss of a twinkle. Twinkles have a different shape because you painted around them. All right, but anyway, I never get a painting that's just right. But I can imagine parts of all these paintings together, and if all the parts went just right, it would be really great. But that never happens. So if you make that happen, don't tell me about it, because I don't want to know. That's too strong. See, now I'm just messing out of frustration. You should never do that. Don't mess around with it out of frustration. Go back to it later. But that's the end of this is the end of the video. Happy painting. Oh, yeah. Hold it up like that. Oops. Well, you can't see the whole thing. Anyway, happy painting.